What's up? This is Noah DeFreitas with Noah Fitness, and today is another bodybuilding Q&A, and I have my co-host as always, Matt Berzicott from Camp Jansen. And Matt, if for those of you who don't know, he's been my friend and mentor and coach for the last 7 years. Matt's been competing since 2004. He's also been coaching numerous competitors since 2009. Super honored and excited to have him. His knowledge base is second to none. So Matt is my co-host here, and my special guest tonight is Marc Shulman. Marc has been in the bodybuilding industry for over 10 years as well, so we got some super experience here. He's been coached under some of the top minds in the industry. He's competed in multiple shows in the open bodybuilding class. He also has been coaching for a number of years, clients ranging from beginner all the way to advanced competitors. And he has a deep mission for helping others. And he's always trying to expand his knowledge. So Marc and I are always reaching out to each other to, pick each other's brains. So super honored to have you on this call. But the point of this is for you guys. We really want to just help anybody get to that next level in their bodybuilding journey. And the reason I made this show is because truly so many of us give up on our dreams when it comes to bodybuilding. I know that was so close to being me, but it wasn't until I got under people like Matt or Marc who could show me the right information and get me past my specific sticking points. And that's what we're doing here. We're giving you the right information to get you past your sticking points. So with that, any questions that you have, go ahead and comment below so that we can answer your questions directly in our next Q&A. And on that note, let's go ahead and get rocking here. And we're going to start with our first question, and we are answering specifically questions on Marc's audience. So we're helping anybody who follows Marc. And if you do have more questions for us, again, please comment. So the first question here, this is going to be kind of a good icebreaker, actually, is do you find it hard to compete or bodybuild and keep both intimate and personal relationships? I'm super curious on this one. So either of you guys, if you want to kind of take this one, whoever wants to head this, we can get.
I think we both probably have some experience with this, but I guess I could go first.
Sure.
Please do.
Yeah, oh man. So for me, bodybuilding kind of is one of these sports where it's not just like I go to practice, like if you played football for 2 hours a day and then you're kind of, resting the rest of the day. Bodybuilding is 24/7 with the training, the diet, food prep, recovery, all that stuff. And then if you have a job on top of that, or if you're getting ready for a show, there's more of a time commitment. And then there's also kind of the mental, emotional, physical stress. So, the question was, do you have problems? Do you have issues kind of, or is there anything that?
Let's see here. Let's read.
I just want to make sure I'm answering correctly because I feel like.
So how do you find it hard? That's the question, to keep them. So is it more difficult? So clear answer is yes. And more so would be like, how do you actually do it then? If that's
so with all those factors, I find it difficult to kind of manage intimate and even personal relationships with friends. A lot of my friends now are in the industry or they compete, so they understand it. And I think if you kind of go silent for, 3-4 weeks, it's not a big deal. Whereas like when I was younger and competing, that was definitely kind of, it was hard to kind of maintain those friendships and stay within close contact because you kind of fell off with people. But I think if you look at it, like, I think of it like there's a pie and like, work takes up this much, bodybuilding takes up this much, relationship takes up this much. So to balance all of that, I think is extremely difficult. If there's anybody who has like the answers on how to do it successfully, man, I would be, I'd be very open to kind of a book on that or something like that, because I'm just, I have trouble kind of balancing a lot at once, and I'm very like driven and focused. And I think that's a lot of bodybuilders is you kind of put the blinders on and you focus on that because that's very important to you, and relationships also are as well. And it's kind of like, do you have a 50-50 split? And then is that even, making the other person happy or things like that? And so it's, you have to find somebody who's very kind of open to you pursuing your goals and dreams, and then them also kind of finding a place where they fit into that puzzle.
So let me ask you this, Marc. So are you somebody that would be like, your relationships say deteriorate when you're in more so, whether it's a competition or any sort of deep dive into bodybuilding, and you kind of hope for that support? Or are you somebody who's like trying to make sure that you actually are doing little things extra to keep those bonds?
I think I'm always by default kind of trying to find those things that would enable or strengthen those bonds.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that when you're spread so thin and you're in that mental state, sometimes even your best attempts, you're kind of you're met with some it doesn't always go over as well as you would like to, or the other person kind of feels like you're neglecting them or things like that. Yeah, it's one of those things where it's definitely difficult.
Awesome. Matt, what's your take on relationships? Is it difficult to keep relationships personal and intimate when it comes to bodybuilding?
Jesus, I've been sitting here trying to think how
to do quantum physics.
Well, I mean, my past, at least the recent past. So I'm trying to think of how I can go into this, or how much I really want to say. Let's start with friends first, because that's easy. Do I find it difficult to maintain friendships and such? No, not at all, because I'm like the ultimate hermit of hermits. Like, just leave me at home and I'm good. I don't need anything to do. One quality I have, I don't know if it's good or bad, I don't get bored. I'm never bored. If I have nothing to do, that's amazing to me. Mm-hmm. So my friends have always known that. Like, even in high school, I never went to parties. I didn't, I'd go and like sleep over at friends' houses and stuff sometimes, when we're like young, and even in like high school and stuff. But I was never, I don't need a lot of social interaction. I don't like going to social events and stuff like that. And they all know that, and they don't care. So the friends are easy. No, relationships. Do I find it hard? I do not. All I'm going to say about that is we have to find when I say we, I mean people that compete, bodybuilders, and this goes for girls too, girl competitors. You have to find someone that doesn't necessarily do what we do, meaning compete, but you have to find someone that, one, understands it, that's okay with it, and two, they have something of their own that they're passionate about, and they are secure within themselves. Because if they're not secure with themselves, and if they don't have anything, like if there's nothing that they're passionate about, they just have like nothing that they're into, then that's where problems are created. Because then everything that we do as bodybuilders that they might say they think is cool at first becomes a problem. So if you find someone that is also busy and pours their energy into doing whatever it is they're into, it could be fucking Harry Potter, I don't give a shit. If it takes up their time and they're passionate about it, then, when you're together, you guys can kind of, I guess, push each other and help each other, propel each other to new heights, versus you always having to worry about that person that has problems because they've got these deep insecurities that are always trying to tear you down. And so I think the answer is, does bodybuilding make it difficult? Yes, if you're with somebody that has, I guess, insecurity issues or doesn't have anything going on that they're into themselves. But if you find someone that, like I said, is passionate about something, they can go do their thing, you do your thing. When you see each other, you just get caught up. I think too many people they're both insecure, and you always have to like be together 24/7, and you start like over analyzing each other, and then just shit just builds from there, and it's a shit storm.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
You have something to say there, Mark?
That was a great point. That last point that you made, that like, I think when you're too busy to focus on problems and see problems, I think that's the key to everything, to success in anything. So I totally agree with you. And I think finding someone who's passionate about something where you can support their passion by sometimes just giving them time. I think like allowing somebody to do what they love to do is like the ultimate kind of support. And I think that sometimes people draw you in because they don't have anything else going on and they need that support. And it's kind of unfortunate. So you got to have that person who's also driven. So good point.
I think that's a solid point as well. Another point that I want to highlight on is really understanding. And this one applies across the board for me. Is I was unlike Matt, although I would rather kind of be like you, Matt. I love just being at home and being a hermit. But for some reason, I just felt like I had to, that expectation of having to be out and about. So luckily, and this is pretty much all of us, if you're ever at any sort of kind of level in bodybuilding, you stick to your guns. But I went out. I was the person who turned down drinks. I never drank with my friends. I would go out to the party with my meals. I'd be the weirdo out. But there were people that basically were in two categories: one that didn't understand, and those that did. Those that did hung around. They didn't care what I did. They supported me. Those that didn't, they just kind of, didn't jive. And I think that exact same thing kind of applies with relationships. And I do think it is pretty key. And sure, they don't have to know exactly the nuances, but respect when you basically explain to them the nuances. So in a relationship, I found that there's key understanding pieces in bodybuilding that like people need to know, like your significant other. And of course, if you have that relationship where you understand that you might not understand, I think that's great. I guess another level is if they actually do understand the sport. These are super helpful things. Like, there's certain weeks, like a few weeks before your show, where like clearly you're just in a different realm. And, if you have somebody who understands that, they can totally support that in certain ways. I remember when my girlfriend was in her peak weeks and all that stuff, I would help cook food. I would like clean the house. If she was struggling or like freaked out, I'd be cool as a cucumber. I'm like, yeah, you have no carbs. You're good to go. So I think that stuff is absolutely super helpful. So I'd say that's the point I would highlight most is, having that level of understanding, whether it is knowing the sport or whether it is just, being open to understanding to where it's like, I might need a little bit of time apart, or, I'm hangry, all that stuff. Or like when you are struggling super hard, they know like to be that support instead of saying, well, what the hell's wrong with you? Kind of stuff like that. Cool. Would you guys agree with that?
Yeah, the best girlfriend I ever had, she's never even stepped foot in a gym. But she did all the things that you're saying. She took the time to understand, like by the end of, we were together like 4 years. By the end of our relationship, she could have prepped people. She knew exactly what she was looking at, because she took the time, because she knew it was important to me. And that goes, it doesn't have to be with bodybuilding. You could take someone that's obsessed with their job or their career, whatever they're obsessed with. Your significant other should take the time to understand it and, get to know a lot about it, because it's important to you, and vice versa.
Yeah, I think that's a stellar point there. And I think the overall thing that we're kind of subtly saying is bodybuilding does take serious time and effort, and there are going to be sacrifices to those relationships. It's going to be some way or another time or energy, but having that understanding, I think, is a huge piece to that puzzle. Now, I'm curious for both of you guys, are there little things that you would do to like make sure that like, because I'm going to put the flip the coin to the other side here, because bodybuilding, there's let's just be honest, like there's not a lot of money in bodybuilding. Like you're not going to become a millionaire by winning a show. It's very a passion driven thing, and it does take a lot, probably more than most sports. Than that, like what you're saying, Mark, is it's a 24-hour thing. You have to do it, within all aspects of life. So you ever like kind of swallow that pill, like, hey, I'm doing this for pure selfish passion reasons. And there's nothing wrong with that. That's the beauty of life. But to say that I need to step it up to the next level to make sure that even though I literally like want to sleep the entire day or, have some seclusion, that I'm going to maybe go out and do something special. You guys ever think of that kind of stuff on like, trying to push it to that next level, even though it's difficult?
It goes both ways. Like just because we're bodybuilders doesn't mean that you cannot take your girlfriend or your wife out to dinner or make her feel special. Like you have to be aware of, you have to be aware of it. Like you can't just because of that, you can't just totally disregard the other person. That's not what I'm saying at all. You still have to be a human being. You can't be a robot.
I would say there's a lot of people out there that do.
I know, you're right. Yeah.
I think one of the key things that somebody told me this, like that was also a bodybuilder, and they said, yeah, that there is aspects of it that are selfish, but you also have to be considerate. So if you have to do X, Y, and Z for yourself, then if that person, all that they're asking is like they want to see you for dinner or something like that, and you're considerate enough to know that that's important to them and make it happen. So I think you can, while selfish is not always, an adjective that is kind of looked at as something positive. I think being considerate is equally as important to relationships and to friendships and even like with your family and everybody. So I do think that's one of the things that I've taken away from being a bodybuilder. And like you said, it's 24, but it's 7, and it's kind of sometimes you're looked at as like you only care about yourself. But I do think that like if you take the time to, it's just the same as what we were saying, like the person that kind of looks at our sport and wants to know about it, if you take the time to know about what's important to that person, I think that goes a long way.
100%. I think that consideration is huge, and I think kind of when the forces are combined, when you do have a mutual understanding of what we're all going through, because there's always that one push moment, and those are critical parts for us. Along with what you're saying, a little bit of consideration, like I can just pull examples where I would literally go out to dinner, and, whether it was like an anniversary or, just some special occasion. And I would literally bring my Tupperware, order like a spring salad and pop it on top of there. And, basically, my meal's like $3 and, there's like, it's a full meal. So you're going out and still keeping those things together that are important and having those considerations. And I think paired with that, if they understand the sport, like maybe that might look weird, but like if you understand the sport, that's like that's being very considerate, because you're pushing to that next level to show that you care. So I think that just like benefits everybody.
Yeah.
Cool.
Women just got to tell us what they want. Okay.
That's never
like, just tell me what you want. What's important to you? It's like, I can't read your fucking mind. Just tell me what you want.
Especially prepping.
Yeah. 100%. Just give us the
gosh.
instruction manual, and then we can follow it to a T.
Yeah. Right.
All right. Any females watching, we're literally professional list followers. All we do is read and say sets and reps, eat 8 ounces of chicken and 1 cup of rice.
That's how we understand.
You tell us anything you need. We're there for you. But when we're low carb, the neurons don't fire as quickly. We're worse at guessing.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Awesome. Killer. So let's go ahead and go on to the next question here. Oh, okay. So this one, I'm super glad I have you guys both for this. So why do you think digestive health is such a big topic these days? What do you think is causing so many digestive issues? So digestive health, it's awesome because it's becoming more and more, it's becoming super mainstream. I cannot tell you how much, especially even in the high level coaching arena, that seems to be kind of the fringe that we're working off of. So I'm super curious to hear both of your perspectives when it comes to digestive health. So did you guys hear that question clearly?
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You want to go first, Mark, or?
Sure. Yeah. I mean, it's probably, we could have a whole kind of conversation podcast on that alone. I think in short, there are so many factors that affect someone's kind of gut health, digestive health, from stress to the types of food that they're eating to environmental factors. And I think that it's become more mainstream kind of to eat like we do. And I think the diet that bodybuilders eat specifically, obviously, is very acidic. And I think that in the past, bodybuilders would kind of develop maybe digestive issues and then they just kind of gave up. I think nowadays people are more passionate about it, or they know that there are ways to fix and correct those issues. And I think that there's more knowledge, like you said, it's become a hot topic. It's become extremely mainstream. And I think now we actually have kind of ways to pinpoint how to repair gut lining, to kind of restore digestive health. And we've seen kind of success in those arenas. And so it's become something that I think more coaches are taking on, and we've seen more success with that recently. I think the reasoning for it is, I mean, personally, I think that a lot of the food that we're eating is genetically modified. I think that there are so many factors that go into the food industry that we don't know about. And it's really taken a toll on the way that we obviously digest food, because we're not kind of meant to digest food that is currently being kind of produced. And I also think there's high levels of stress. And then once kind of that integrity of the gut lining is damaged, it takes a little bit to restore it. And but if you're not then eating the proper food or addressing those other issues, then it kind of continues to be an issue. So it's kind of an all-encompassing thing. So I think that it's become more of an issue with people, just because I think, like I said, there are more people that are experiencing it and actually talking about it. And they're not just kind of like, I can only eat foods X, Y, and Z, and I'm going to kind of give up the bodybuilding for now because it bothers me, and just moving forward. So I think that those are kind of the main reasons. There's obviously a host of other reasons. And I personally kind of struggle with digestive issues, but I've been able to, in the past year, really kind of focus on what my specific issue is. And everybody kind of has some different issues, but I've been able to kind of target what it is and improve it. And my digestion and the way I feel, and I don't feel bloated and gassy like all the time, and I'm able to eat and enjoy eating. Like we talked about kind of before the show, it is a chore for me, but I'm not looking at it as like I eat and I feel like terrible afterwards. I'm just not a huge eater, but I eat, I digest things well, and I kind of eliminate everything now. And it's been a process, and it takes a long time. I think that's why, people also didn't really look into it. It's not just like, I'm going to do X, Y, and Z for 3 days and everything gets better. It's not like I can take a pill and everything gets better. There's a gradual kind of progression to fixing the gut lining and digestive health. And once you are able to kind of correct it, it's amazing kind of how much better you feel.
Awesome. I think those are great points that really, I totally agree. The knowledge, it really wasn't, mainstream, so people weren't thinking about it. It was just something that, most people probably just dealt with. And I agree that the foods out there, it's totally, a different thing, especially when you're talking about bodybuilders. These are people that are typically eating all day long. And if you have food that's modified or doesn't have necessarily what it used to have in the right balances, it's gonna hit us kind of a little bit harder. And the stress, that's huge. I think that's probably one of the most and we're not going to go into this, but one of the most understood things about our era. It's just out of this world. That's an amazing point there. And how about you, Matt? What's your take on, let me just ensure that we have this question. So why do you think digestive health is such a big topic? And what do you think is causing all the issues that we're seeing?
Well, Marc pretty much nailed it. I mean, it's the standard American diet. Why are bodybuilders? I think, especially like off-season bodybuilders, I think they felt like it was normal to they kind of think it was like normal to just feel like shit and be stuffed and bloated all the time. Like you think that that's part of it and you have to power through it. Mm-hmm. And to some extent you do, but I say to some extent, I don't think there's different levels of severity. But he nailed it with, just basically the foods we eat, whether it's, GMOs or refined sugars, or processed foods. I think the food and stress and not sleeping are the three main things that all go into the gut microbiome. But why is it now popular? It's just now popular because we're just now learning all these things. Like doctors still scoff at gut health. They think it's bullshit. So most of them, it's more of these newer, I don't know what you want to call them, more like people that focus on preventative medicine type people, that are giving a lot of this information. And I still don't think we've even scratched the surface on everything there is about gut health. Mm-hmm. So with that being said, Marc, let's talk about one thing that annoys me is people always talk about gut health, but they never talk about what can you do to make it better? Mm-hmm. How do you improve it? And, they're like, gut health is important. And then it's like, they leave you hanging.
Yeah.
Right. So, some of the things, the obvious things, obviously, I guess not to go too deep into it, because I'm not an expert by any means. I don't know that anybody really is an expert in it, truthfully, yet. But to simplify things, your gut, you've got good and bad bacteria. And if gut health is bad, that's called dysbiosis. So you're out of whack. So your good bacteria to bad bacteria, to keep it simple, is just out of whack. Your gut flora, your gut microbiota. So how can you correct that? Well, if you find someone that if most of their diet, like normal people are following a standard American diet, it's usually they just eat way too much sugar. And obviously sugar feeds the bad bacteria. So it's just very out of balance. So the first thing that those people have to do is stop eating that shit. So stop eating sugar and stop eating processed foods. Well, you kind of got to starve. Oh, Matt, sorry.
So when you say sugar, are you actually talking about raw processed sugars? Or are you talking about if I eat white bread?
Yeah, you could consider white bread. Flour. That's the thing. It depends how extreme you want to get. Some people are so extreme that they believe you shouldn't eat any grains or legumes, which if you're a bodybuilder, it's kind of impossible. This is where it gets tough, because if you look at the list of foods that are considered gut healthy, it's almost nothing. It's, there's not a lot. There's not a lot.
Kimchi and sauerkraut.
Yeah, it's like kimchi, sauerkraut, and meat. And some fruits and some vegetables. So as a bodybuilder, you can't get to, I'm not going to be 280 pounds eating that, you have to. So from there, you just kind of have to make the best choices that you can make that are going to basically fuck you up the least. Mm-hmm. So obviously we can't really eliminate grains. We're not going to eat any rice. That's not feasible. So, what was your question?
My question?
Yeah. Why'd you stop me? I don't remember, but
you're saying about sugars, and I was just correcting.
Oh yeah. I'm talking about candy, people that eat, candy and stuff and processed shit. Mm-hmm. if that's the majority of the diet, they need to cut that out and kind of starve off that bad bacteria. You can add things like polyphenols. So if you just Google polyphenols, it's like berries, tea. There's a whole list of foods that are high in polyphenols. Those help increase good bacteria. Obviously, probiotics help. What else? You can if you need to manage stress. That's the other big thing. You got to learn how to manage your stress, because that can throw things out of whack too. I'm interested if Marc has any other tips.
I kind of like you said, from like the bacterial standpoint, I think you covered, pretty much everything. I mean, obviously you've got your fermented foods that help with gut health. Prebiotics, kind of, prebiotics that the bacteria are going to hold on to and then help you to eliminate. I think that you covered everything, kind of the probiotic prebiotic route. I think that a lot of people also miss kind of like the leaky gut syndrome, kind of like interior lining issue, which to me has been like one of the biggest things that's kind of helped me along. And there are certain products that kind of help with inflammation in the gut lining, ginger, different things, turmeric, but also like glutamine that kind of helps repair that tissue.
So does coffee.
Yeah, exactly. Does it really?
Does. Yeah,
oh, really?
It does really.
The polyphenols, or?
No, there's some kind of acid that's in coffee. I can't think of it off the top of my head. You'll have to look it up.
Okay.
Or I'll have to look it up, but it does help the gut lining.
Okay, because when you said that, I mean, I know, like, from way back, like I would drink coffee, and obviously you get sometimes acid reflux, but my kind of microbiome was off. And a little bit of the backstory kind of on me and how I got so into digestive health was, I think I was taking like, I'm not sure if it was Prevacid or one of the over-counter antacids every single day, because I thought that was going to be the route that kind of, eliminated the issue. But I was, way off base. I mean, this was, 3-4 years ago, and I was experiencing the problem. So like typical Western kind of medicine, I wanted to eliminate the symptoms. So I think I was doing that for 3-4 years, but then there'd be days when everything would still be off. So I had to look into, okay, now I'm going to take this away and really focus on what actually is affecting my gut. And the things that, like you said, with the probiotics, and then also the gut lining, but also digestive enzymes. I think in the past, I was against digestive enzymes because I would take them, and maybe at that time I was acidic enough, or I had enough stomach acid. But I then noticed, like last year, I was talking to a friend of mine, and he had gotten off the antacids as well. And then he would take what I thought was a lot of betaine hydrochloride and pepsin for the protein. But when I took that amount and I would take it after a protein-rich meal, I found that I had no acid reflux. It really helped me break everything down. And it was like a game changer, because I wasn't experiencing that bloat and that like heartburn all day.
Yeah, I don't remember who I learned that from, but it's like the opposite. Like, even if you have GERD, you would think antacids. It's too much acid. You need more acid. You need pepsin and you need HCl. And that works. So that's a great point. I completely forgot about that. The other thing I thought of, stimulants. Stay away from stimulants. That will wreck your gut biome, and a lot of artificial sweeteners. You can't you can use some, but I mean in moderation. You can't be slamming Splenda on everything.
Yeah, I mean, and back in the day, like you're 4 weeks out of a show and you're drinking diet pop just to kind of fill your stomach up, but you're drinking like a liter of it, you notice that acid reflux like right away. So, to your point, exactly.
Yeah. So I wanted to talk about, kind of what can we do about it? Because I feel like people always leave people hanging because they don't know.
Yeah, 100%.
I'm glad you bring that
yeah,
point
gut
up.
health is important. I'm a coach, and I really believe in gut health, and I really believe in digestive health, but I don't know what the fuck to do about it. So I'm just going to leave you hanging there.
I think most coaches just tell people take probiotic in the morning, and that's going to solve all your issues.
Which it won't. That's like, if you don't address all the other things, depending on how bad the person's gut is, that's just like throwing sand on the beach. Like, it's not going to do shit.
Yeah.
You got to do all the other things, and then you got to get to the root of the problem. Like, I just had a new guy. I ask people about their poop all the time, by the way.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, I want to know about your poop. All right. So I was looking at his diet, and it was like tons of like granola and oatmeal. And I'm like, and for the amount of food that he was eating, it was 5,000 calories. He was very small. And I'm like, hey man, I'm just curious, like, are you digesting your food all right? And he goes, I have diarrhea after every meal. And I'm like,
no.
that's what I thought. I'm like, you're not digesting your food, man. Like, it's just, if you have diarrhea after every meal, that means you're not absorbing like hardly any of it. So we switched some things around. I took out the obvious things that I thought were probably giving him issues, and it's been like 2 weeks. He's perfectly, it's fine. He's had no diarrhea since. I'm like, text me with your poop updates, man. And he does. And everything's good to go. And he's put on, he was stuck at like 225 for a while, and now he's 234 already. And he's eating, it's less calorie wise, but now he's actually, he's digesting everything.
That's the other thing too. I mean, you're eating all these calories. He's eating 5,000 calories. He's uncomfortable probably just eating that amount, but he's not absorbing any of it. So it's like you're at a net sum loss. Like, there's no reason like for you to eat all that food if you're just gonna shit it out. And it's amazing to me that like people are like, yeah, I have diarrhea after every meal, and that's just like, that's me. That's normal for me. And it's like, that's not normal for anybody.
Let's go ahead and answer this question then, because this is really important. You kind of nailed it, Matt. How important is poop quality? Like, to be real, how important is poop quality? And what is poop quality? And that's the question I want you guys to address. I can help.
Well, you don't want chronic loose stools. I mean, you want a nice, solid couple bowel movements a day.
You say couple. People want numbers. So so a couple times per day is what you'd be looking at?
Normal. I think definitely girls go less than guys just because they eat less. So maybe like once a day for a girl is okay. I think men should be 2 to 3 times a day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mark, any thoughts there?
Oh man, I think, because I've experienced this as well. I taking a fiber supplement for me, and for a lot of my clients there, especially if you're on like a lower carb diet, to help you eliminate, because if you're not eliminating that feeling of just bloated kind of, it's not a great feeling. I feel like, fiber supplements and other things that we could talk about, but just eliminating is almost equally as important as your digestive. Well, it is your digestive health, but as all the stuff, we talked about in the gut microbiome, and it's often neglected because I don't think a lot of people want to talk about it.
Yeah,
I totally agree there.
But you got to get it out. You got to get it out. You got to talk about it, and then you got to get the poop out. So
yeah.
So I want to make a comment here about some elimination stuff, and this is things that I've kind of thought of as well. And a lot of us, like you guys are saying, you don't talk about like pooping because I don't know why we don't. It's something we all do, and it's extremely important to your point, Mark. It's just as important as consuming is eliminating. And if you're not monitoring your poop quality, really, that's a red flag to your body's not working correctly. And just on the note of fiber, if you kind of do some study on how much fiber we're supposed to have during each day, you look at the RDA, it's about, I believe it's about 30 grams. I don't know the exact numbers, 30 grams.
It's like 35 for men and 28 for women or something like that.
Cool. And that there, most people don't get. And what I've actually found is if you look at like ancestral data, like down to like the Paleolithic and all that stuff, it was well above 100 grams per day. So it's showing how void we are of fiber already to a measly 32 grams, per day compared to our ancestors who had a lot more. And what I found personally, and with some of the students I work with, is actually really ramping up that fiber intake is a game changer when it comes to just how everything is flowing. When you're eliminating, you're detoxing the body, you're clearing the colon so that you can reabsorb nutrients. And it's super crazy important because that's where you're absorbing nutrients. What was I going to say here? Oh yeah, and basically this is kind of on one of those topics why we don't talk about it, but we're actually supposed to be at a level where we don't necessarily need toilet paper. So if you want to know a level that you need to be at in your fiber intake is if you have really, really I'm going to use the word messy stools, you're clearly not even close. And like all other animals in nature, like typically they don't need like a toilet paper, right? This all makes sense. And they have high fiber diets. And why we don't necessarily have high fiber diets is because we don't have roughage in our food anymore. Our food, we're eating cuts of meat without fur around. There's no like bark. If you're eating a coconut, you get all this roughage that counts as fiber that we're not getting close to getting. So the one thing I would recommend on the digestive end and the gut health end is upping your fiber like way higher than it is. I found that at least 10 grams per day supplemented is super powerful, even up to 15 grams per day. What would you guys think on the fiber note there?
Yeah, I meant to bring that up. So I'm glad you brought that up. That's another thing that bodybuilders overlook. Pretty much all of them is fiber intake. It doesn't even cross your mind because I think you think that you're getting enough from all the food you're eating, but we're really not eating. Like I myself, I don't eat vegetables because it takes up so much room in my stomach. I don't have time for them. So a fiber supplement and a green supplement in my case is very important. And I think most guys are probably the same way.
Yeah, I'm right there in the same boat. I think off season for me, I don't eat a lot of greens just because, like what you said, you're already eating a high amount of food volume with everything else, and so.
And we're really not eating a lot of high fiber foods when you think about it.
Yeah.
There aren't many high fiber foods out there. That's a huge issue.
Do you use Fiberlize?
I have. It's spectacular. I don't know who you're asking.
But Marc. Sorry. Yeah.
No.
Honestly, it's funny that you brought that up because I've used Fiberlize, and obviously that's to me like I don't know what you want to say. Like that's the kind of the gold standard because I've used Metagenics, I've used all these other companies, and with the bulk of like elimination, that seems to take everything out.
Agreed.
Yeah.
You know why?
Yeah.
I'll tell you guys why. I actually did Dave Palumbo's course. You guys know that. And he said
because it has both. Is it the ratio of no?
No, when he was making his formula, he didn't know anything about like psyllium husk powders, but he was like, the guy was like, well, do you want like what quality do you want of psyllium husk powder? And he's like, oh, of course the best. But what most people don't know is, I forgot the word, but basically there are certain qualities of psyllium husk that can basically expand. And he has the highest expansive psyllium husk out there. And I'm obsessed with fiber. So that's why I brought up this topic. And my mindset is up to the point where like the less toilet paper I have to use, the more my body is on track with that. Is just kind of like a rough way to, just like looking at hydration, we look if our urine is relatively clear. These things, although they're primal, they're good ways to judge. But I experiment with so many fibers, and like you're saying, Marc and Matt, like Fiberlize, when you take different fibers, it really, you can see the difference. So if you can find, we'll plug Dave here. Fiberlize is number one to get for fiber, but you want to get something that is actually giving you that effect.
Yeah,
with
I mean,
the
if you've
full
ever
elimination.
like let fiberlize sit for like more than a minute, like
Yeah, you can't
it's
drink
like
it.
sludge. Yeah, yeah.
Absolutely. Cool. That was killer on digestive health. Any final comments on that before we move on?
I actually just want to touch on one thing. It's not about
Sure.
elimination, but before we go on, I think that this is an important point. I think that people think that there are traditional bodybuilding foods and that's the only thing that you can eat. Like,
Yeah.
whatever reason people think, I don't even know why brown rice, they think brown rice, sweet potatoes, oatmeal for carbs or cream of rice. And then they think, obviously your proteins, but steak, chicken, whatever. But for most of my clients, I let them kind of dictate. They tell me how they feel after they eat certain foods, and if they don't feel good after eating sweet potatoes, which I personally don't, then that's eliminated from the diet. It's not like there's one food that is special above others. It's what digests best for you.
Exactly. That's I tell everybody the same thing too. And coaches that are still stuck in that mindset, they just don't get it.
Yeah.
Like there's no certain foods that you have to eat. I want to know, you tell me what works best for you. And if there's something that I give you that isn't working, tell me and we're going to switch it. Just pay attention. Like all you have to do is pay attention.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
I think that's an absolutely excellent point. I actually have a very recent experience with this with one of my students. I worked with him before I started being more flexible in my approach in the foods that I gave my clients. I'm a pretty big fan of flexible dieting because of this specific reason, as a matter of fact, because the way you personally feel after you eat something is going to be actually, in my opinion, you guys can let me know if you agree with this, is really the better food choices. As long as it's, like a wholer food, the way you feel after you eat that is going to be your best predictor. So I worked with a student, and I was trying to gain weight. He was one of those hard gainers, and I'm trying to put weight on him. I gave him this plan, and he just like, man, I cannot eat more. I cannot eat more. And this goes back to old school dieting, where it's like, just pound it down. And we switched to flexible dieting. I go, hey, listen, this is going to be different this time. I want you to choose the foods. You're smart enough to know, like, what foods, are not like junk food, but I want you to just feel out what foods make sense for you and feel the best. And he's gaining weight that he's never gained before in his life. And I truly believe it's exactly to that point, is there's no, one food fits all or 5 foods fit all. So I think that's an excellent point.
That's why, Noah, I don't know if you tell me, should I share my secret or not?
Go ahead.
People
are gonna know.
This is a do as I say, not as I do type thing. But that's why I eat McDonald's almost every day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because for whatever reason, I have a sensitive stomach too, like you, Mark. I have digestive issues. I have to be mine's more dictated by stress for sure. Mm-hmm. If I'm stressed out, I got to be super careful of what I eat. But for whatever reason, I can eat McDonald's and it doesn't bother me at all. And I'm still hungry after I eat it. I can go on to my next meal like I ate nothing, but I can get in an easy 2,000 calories.
Yep. Yeah. I mean, we were kind of talking about that before. I was never able to get above 220 ever. And I kind of switched to the Wendy's kind of diet. And not that I eat everything from Wendy's, but I was doing a Wendy's burger like every night. And like you said, I think like if a food makes you like salivate, then that's the start of the digestive process. So you're going to be able to break that food down. And I heard another quote.
Yeah, chew your food too. Chew your food.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, people just fucking inhale their food, and then they wonder why they have digestive issues. But I heard another coach say that like you could sit in front of a 500 calorie meal of steak and rice, or you could sit in front of and say that you're not hungry, and then sit in front of a burger that's 2,000 calories, and you can down that in about 10 seconds. And so it just kind of relates to like, you're going to be able, like you said with the McDonald's, you digest it well for whatever reason, and you break it down and you feel fine afterwards. So, all in all, it works for you.
Hey guys, what is your thoughts on, so I'm not advocating eat McDonald's every day. I'm not saying that, but for people like us, What are there, do you think there's health ramifications if you're burning it all up?
I think personally, and I'm going to have blood work done on Friday, so I can tell you this for sure, but I would be interested to see from cholesterol, triglyceride, if because of, I don't know if they still use, what was the type of fat that they use? I don't think they do, but if, you know, the higher fat kind of content of those meals would play a role in it. Like you said, you are burning it off and it's just one meal per day. I'd be interested to kind of see blood work from just doing that every day. I think Dave Palumbo, I think he used to do that in the day, and I don't know if it was multiple meals or
either I'm gone or he's gone. Hello?
Did you hear? We still good?
You're here, Matt's gone.
Okay. But I was saying about Dave Palumbo, I think he kind of stopped because of heart health issues, but I mean, I'd be interested to see. I think, like you said, as long as it's one meal, I don't think you'd have negative.
I would like to see that guy that did the supersize movie.
That's the thing. I was just going to
do the same thing, but work out.
Yeah, that is interesting. It's an interesting point.
Have you guys ever heard of the Twinkie study?
No.
I think so. Okay.
Yeah.
So that guy, he actually did eat Twinkies every single day, and he wanted to prove that he could lose weight off of Twinkies. And his blood parameters, don't quote me on this, but I'm nearly positive that all of his blood parameters actually improved.
Yeah, but he was in a deficit. I think
he was in a deficit. Yep.
Being in a deficit is a completely different story. If you're, I'm talking about like if you're an off-season bodybuilder and you're in a surplus, I wonder.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's impossible to say.
Yeah, I think it just matters what perspective you're putting it, and also what baseline you're at. If you're healthy overall, you know, of course, a little negative, like
if we're doing all the things that we talked about in our last one, and you're getting a CT scan and you don't have any plaque buildup in your coronary arteries and all of your other health markers are fine, then I guess where's the risk?
Yeah, and the body's regenerative by nature. I think the only thing that you'd really have to be truly concerned about, if we're talking about like having all the parameters in check, is like things that don't get eliminated, really. Like if there's any like heavy metals that we don't know about, I think those, you know, any sort of antibiotics that are, you know, kind of lingering, who knows? But I think overall, you know, if you're doing more positive than negative, I would assume you'd be, you know, relatively okay. And I did want to point out one thing, Mark, because I was at Dave Palumbo's course. He did have heart issues, but nothing plaque related. He actually has zero plaque in his arteries. And I think that's a big testament to, you know, the way he did the more higher fat approach, as a matter of fact. I'm pretty convinced about that. But any last topics on, was that all digestive health?
Yeah.
Awesome. We crushed that one.
Do a whole show on that. Yeah.
Yeah, seriously. Let's see here. Let's do one more question. Let's see. Want to do one more nutrition question, or do you want to go into like a deeper, like, personal question to finish this out?
It's your call,
Matt.
No, you pick. You're the guest.
All right. Let's do a nutrition question. I think the deeper question, we started off with one, so that's probably enough.
Perfect.
Yeah, you're right.
So then we're going to go into nutrient timing. I think this is a good one to end on. So is nutrient timing important? And I do want to split this down the middle because, you know, Matt's typically, you know, in the advanced, you know, competitor sphere. Marc, you're kind of split. Me, I'm kind of in the beginners. So let's split it down the middle. Is nutrient, and you could argue both too, but let's split it to somebody who's just kind of like normal and then competitor. Is that cool, Matt?
Yeah.
Okay.
For a normal person that's just trying to like lose weight, no. If your single goal is to weigh a certain amount, then no. But if you're somebody that cares about body composition and you're trying to accrue the most muscle possible with the least amount of body fat, yes, very important. And I'm going to stop there because I think we could get in another question if I make that short, because the answer is that's it.
Yeah.
Okay. Mark?
Yeah, I agree with kind of both of those points. I think I think I know what you're kind of talking about with, like, there's a lot of other supplements that kind of enhance that as well. But I think that, yes, general population, I think it's not really important. I also think that working with general population people, I think keeping things as simple as possible for them in understanding, and there's really no reason, like you said, if they want to weigh a certain weight and that's their primary goal, then yeah, I don't think nutrient timing is important. I think the only thing that you would time is, maybe if they had a certain digestive issue in the morning, maybe they would eat something a little bit lighter, but that's not really nutrient timing as much as it is just convenience.
Yeah,
but
right.
I think, yeah, if you're looking for compositional changes, 100% nutrient timing does make a difference. And I think that if you're looking for optimal compositional changes in getting the muscle as full as possible and the least amount of body fat, I think that it's kind of a no-brainer that you'd have to, with the science behind it, you'd have to manipulate those the variabilities of timing food in order to get in the best shape possible.
Cool. Awesome answers there. And I love that you guys
Go to that whole food question. Let's answer that one.
You've been waiting for a certain question.
No, I haven't. I want to give more answers. I think that was a good question. The whole food versus protein.
Okay, sure. So the next question is, do you think eating whole food is better than drinking protein powder? And I already know your answer, Matt.
I don't think you do.
Oh, I know it. I think.
You do? Okay. It depends? Is that
I don't know.
You
Go
thought
ahead
it
and
was?
answer.
Oh, well, it depends. So on paper, no, it doesn't matter, right? If you're looking at whey protein has a perfect score on a biological value scale. But I would argue that, think about it this way. Let's say you eat 6 meals a day, and there was a study I can recall, but it's different. I'll get to that in a second. But let's say you ate 6 meals a day of whole that were all whole food, all whole protein meals, and then you had 6 meals a day that were all shakes. Do you think there would be a difference in your physique? I do.
Yeah, I think that there would be, you'd have a little bit more of a watery kind of physique. I think there'd be, I'm not sure if it's leucine or what you'd be what's it called? You'd be short on leucine.
Well, you'd be short on a lot of different micronutrients for sure.
Yeah.
But I just, they did do a study where it was, they had people do 6 whole meals and they had another group do 3 and 3. And the results were the same. I'd be interested to see if they did a 6 and 6, what would happen. I don't think it would be the same. But where whey protein is superior to whole food is in situations where you want it to be quick. So like in the morning or post-workout, I think it's superior to whole food in those scenarios. So my answer would be use a blend of both.
Mm-hmm.
Cool.
Yeah.
Marc?
Yeah, I think in regards to like circulating aminos and different things like that, it would be different. I think from a digestibility standpoint, if you're able to digest it and it was the only thing that you can kind of get down, or like if you're in a bind or, you want something that's going to break down easily for you, then you could go to the whey protein. But I think from a strictly like a compositional standpoint, like you're saying, then yeah, there would be a noticeable difference.
Agreed.
Cool.
Okay,
I
Noah,
totally
ask
agree
one
with all
more.
that.
Ask one more, Noah.
All right. Last one here. Okay, so if we're staying on the nutrition topic, this
No,
is
go personal.
all right. We're going deep. We're ending
All
deep
right,
then.
tradition, how
Cool.
we started, yeah.
All right. So this is the deep one. How has fitness affected your life? I'm assuming it's positive, but so it'd be interesting to hear if it was negative.
Yeah, I mean, for me, it's kind of given me a hobby. It's given me something that is almost a profession. Well, not almost. It's given me a profession. It's given me kind of direction. It's given me so many positive things that without fitness, I mean, obviously there may be other interests that I would have, but it's really been kind of the main thing that's kind of held everything kind of in place in my life for this kind of, this far. It's been an aspect that's, been kind of my identity. It's just been a huge part of my life, and it's my stress relief. It's my meditation. It's kind of everything for me. So it's affected me in a huge way.
Cool. Matt, fitness.
Same here. I used to regret not going to college and being a doctor, or going down some other path. But when I think about it, and the older I get, no, I didn't do all that, but I do have the one thing that I've done consistently my entire adult life, and really since I was 12 years old, is this. So this is what I'm an expert on. It is what I love. And initially for me, it was a way to get over my insecurities about, my body and whatever, because it was kind of like my armor, in a way. And as I've gotten older, I've realized that, that's not all I have to offer. That's not, that's not where my security lies, so as long as you evolve, and kind of shed that, that your body is your entire self-worth, that's okay. And yeah, I've managed to make, that's how I make a living too. So yeah, for me, it's been, it is my whole life. So
Awesome. I'll go ahead and touch in on this one as well. So fitness for me was really the gateway to me even knowing I could do anything. I came from really just like you're born, you're told what to do, and you just do it. And that was pretty much everybody around me. We didn't really think for ourselves, kind of like we just I went to school because somebody told me, I took a job because somebody told me, my major was because somebody told me. And really fitness was my one little testing ground to see like, well, do I, have a say in all this? And that's where, fitness is awesome because it's actually one of the few things you do have full control of. You have control of what you eat and how you move. And a lot of other things in life, you have more dynamics. It might be like you need somebody to say yes to get to the next level. But fitness, it was that one thing to really have your own testing ground to see like what you're made of. And going through that, just like seeing like you can set a goal and accomplish that goal, set another goal, accomplish that goal, set a higher goal. You just see so much of your own capability, with the power of your own hands. It led me into really being like, well, shoot, like, what do I want out of life? And that led me to like midway through, 5 years in the corporate world, midway through a master's degree, finance degree, just say, screw it. I can do this. I can do things that I enjoy. And clearly fitness taught me that. So that's where I wanted to go is into fitness. So it led to new career opportunities and just expanding beyond that. So personally, it was kind of my doorway to realize that I was in the control seat to what I, wanted to do in life. And that's where I'm eternally grateful for that. But I do want to caveat, if it wasn't for, Matt, me reaching out to somebody like him to actually get the right knowledge, I wouldn't have known that. I would have just worked really, really hard and thought like, oh shit, I have terrible genetics. I've been doing this for too long. I should quit. But when I found the right guidance and got there, it's like, well, what else can I do here? And that's what I want to give to other people. And that's why I'm truly into this is I want to give people that exact thing of like, you know what, start with your body. It's one thing you can control. You don't know if like your boss is going to promote you, et cetera. You know, a lot of us, we're confined, but you can eat, you can move. So when they get that, I've always seen people to kind of have a similar experience. Is they're like, well, shoot, like maybe I can do that thing I didn't think I could do. So that's a little bit about my thing in fitness. But how about you guys? Any sort of experience with like knowing that you can kind of go next level?
Yeah, I mean, you hear people say this all the time. Like, if you can go through a contest prep or be a really good competitor, like you feel like I mean, everything else is pretty easy.
Yeah.
You know, and it just teaches you discipline for sure, which
Totally.
is completely different than motivation. It teaches you discipline, which is way more important.
I totally agree.
Yeah, I definitely agree on the discipline and kind of seeing things through. So being reliable, saying you're going to do a competition and seeing it the whole way through. And I think for me, my first competition was in college, and I jumped into it. I didn't know what I was doing. I didn't have a coach or anything like that. It taught me that you can say that you're going to do something, and if you're truly into it and passionate about it, you're going to learn as much as you can. You're going to kind of like jump into it, but find your way through, and you're always kind of looking towards how you can be better and for the next time. So maybe you did there was a certain outcome the first competition, but then you kind of reflect on that and then you improve on it. It taught me that I can also do that in other aspects of my life. So it's had a pretty big transition into a lot of different things that I think without fitness, I wouldn't have that background experience in something like that. And also, like you were saying, with going through prep, you learn a lot about yourself mentally as well. But I think that it's given me the experience to kind of know that I can jump into a lot of different things and then figure it out as I go. And so for me, that's been huge.
Cool.
Yeah.
That's super awesome. Any final things to touch on how fitness has changed your life?
I mean, you look great naked, so.
I guess that's a great. They're like, now you nailed it. That is why I did this. All right. Good thing you guys aren't beating around the bush anymore.
Perfect.
So there are perks to looking good. That is for sure. You know, feel good about yourself. You know, as fortunate or unfortunate as it is, people do treat you differently. I don't remember. When's the last time anybody's picked a fight with any of you guys?
I never have, actually. Nobody ever has. And
Yep.
and I've always said and I'm not a fighter by any means. So I've always said, like, if somebody does pick a fight with me, I'm going to run, because they either have a gun or they're like a professional fighter.
100%.
Yeah.
It helps in that regard. So there's perks for sure. So I think that was an amazing episode here. Let's go ahead and call it there. I'm sure we all have meals to eat. But with that, any last parting comments, either Matt or Marc here?
I just want to say thank you guys for allowing me to be a part of your show and participate in this. And I really enjoyed the conversation and with like-minded people. So I just want to extend a thank you to both of you guys.
Sweet. And thank you, my man. It was awesome having you. We'll definitely have to do another one.
Thank you.
And Marc, for anybody who wants to reach out and get connected with you, what's the best way for them to reach out for?
So you can either go to my Instagram page, shulkfit, or you can email me at shulkfit@gmail.com. So shulk as in SHULK, the character, but also part of my last name. It just kind of stuck, so I'm kind of going with it at this point. But those are two ways that you'll definitely get a hold of me.
I love that name. For some reason, I have dyslexia, so I break names down differently. I just say S Hulk. I don't know.
Yeah.
S Hulk fit. So
that's all good, man.
I love it. I think it's brilliant. So awesome. Go ahead and reach out to Marc with any questions that you have. And Matt, how can anybody reach out to you?
Instagram, Matt Berzicott.
Cool. And for anybody that wants to reach out to me, go ahead and just comment below or at Instagram, Noah DeFreitas. But with that, Marc, Matt, thank you guys so much for hopping on. Love that we're spreading the love here, helping people get their questions answered. And for anybody who's still listening, go ahead and ask us any questions. What can we do to help out? And if you are a coach or have been in the industry for a while and you want to hop on and spread some value, just please reach out and we'll rock out an episode as well. But with that, you guys, again, we'll do another episode shortly, and have a good one. Peace.